Hello guys, this is the 6-game NBA slate for this Saturday, February 22nd. There are some teams on a back-to-back, so there's definitely news that we gotta have to monitor, especially like Porzingis. He's been sitting on a lot of back-to-backs, so if he's out, then Luka Doncic becomes a very, very solid play. I don't want to say an absolute lock, but I'm probably gonna have close to 100%. And also that just makes a lot of guys like Maxi Kleber very solid value plays. So starting off with point guard at the expensive options that we have, James Harden, Trae Young, they're in place still because we know Harden, he's a former MVP. He's a guy that just gets all the shots. He gets a lot of points, free throws, all of that. He just does a little bit of everything. And he's 10.9K. It is a tough matchup against Utah, but Harden, the Rockets, they usually are able to keep. They have star power. They're able to stay in all of these games, and also the Jazz. They are on a back-to-back, so they could be a little bit tired. James Harden, he's usually a guy that is more expensive than this, and he's not really had any trouble against the Jazz in the past. So 10.9K, very much in play. But it's just gonna be hard if Porzingis is out. That just makes Doncic the clear favorite spend up option. Trae Young, same thing with him. He's got a whole lot of upside. He's just having such a great second year. He gets the Mavericks, which they're a pretty solid defensive team, regardless if Porzingis is in or out. But Trae Young and the entire Hawks team, they just play so much better when they're at home. So I do think that they're gonna be able to be in this game, and also because it is a back-to-back for the Mavs with travel. So I do think that Trae Young is gonna be a tournament play, but again, just Doncic still is gonna be the guy. Westbrook 9.8K. I think him and Harden at this price difference is gonna come down to ownership. Um, Again, I just feel like Luka, even like if Porzingis is in, I'd rather play him on a back-to-back over Westbrook actually because he just feels like he has a lot more upside. Yes, Westbrook can triple double as well, but Luka, his role just being the main guy with Westbrook having to share time with Harden. Um, the price difference rather, only being $400 apart is just Luka for me. And then other guys looking down a little bit more, Devontae Graham is 7,100. He's the guy that I am interested in compared to like everyone that's around his price tag because of the pace. Like for the other side of the ball with Dinwiddie and Levert, I probably prefer Graham over both of them actually because they're in the same game. I feel like maybe they're gonna be the guys that get more ownership. And Terry Rozier, I'll talk about him later, but he's very cheap at 5,300. So he's going to be a lot more popular. And usually when people play a popular play from a team, they're not going to play another starter alongside. So it makes Graham's ownership a little bit better, lower. And it's a pace-up match for these Hornets. Brooklyn plays really fast, and they're also not a great defensive team. The Hornets, they usually are in a lot of low-scoring games because they play really slow. But Brooklyn, just the defense, the pace combined, it makes Graham a very solid play. 7,100. He hasn't been shooting like that well. He's had some struggles. He's doing a little bit better now. 0 points that's definitely not gonna happen again. And his price is going down because of just that inconsistent play. This is a very good matchup for him to just get it right. So I like him at 7,100. Next I'm gonna talk about Terry Rozier. He's at 5,300 here against the Nets. Same thing applies to Graham, but it's just that he's a lot cheaper. And if you look at just his game log, I don't want to always be watching that game log, game log chasing, whatever, but he's pretty much getting a similar usage to Graham. Graham definitely gets more assists, but scoring wise, rebounding, they definitely are pretty similar in that. And Rozier, he's getting a lot of shots up as well. His price is so low now at 5,300 that you can just look at his past games. He really doesn't need to do a whole lot. Like if you just take, for example, last game he only took 8 shots. If he scores like 14 points, which at that it's already it's under his season average. He gets those like 3 more assists. You're looking at almost or already at over 5x. So he's not gonna burn you at all unless it's injury, foul trouble, whatever the case it is. It's just such a great matchup. He's gonna be able to take a lot more shots. Certainly gonna be hitting double digit shots, points. He hasn't had like a spectacular game recently, so it just makes sense. He's gonna play solid minutes. Everything definitely makes him a solid play, especially in cash. Next, going to be Mike Conley, 5,200, very close in the price, but he's getting a terrific matchup. Having an off day, he's going to be the fresh Jazz player for this matchup. The Rockets, they're going the small ball lineup. Defensively, they're not that great. Yes, they are more versatile just because they go small, so they can switch a lot, but I mean, their defense is just still not that great. Conley, he's playing heavy minutes now that he's in the starting lineup. He's not playing back to back, so he's gonna be fresh here. He's gonna be able to play his usual minutes in the 30s, and even with Donovan Mitchell, Conley's the main ball handler. You just see it in Mitchell's stats. His assists are going down, and Conley, he's definitely playing a lot better. Like he struggled at the start of the season, but he's finding his shot. He's actually taking a lot more than I would expect, and he's a solid defensive player. He can get steals, assists because he's the guard, and rebounds. He'll chip in a little bit as well. So I like this matchup against the Rockets a lot. Just pace, everything. Conley, his price is just too cheap. And then Thomas Satoransky, 4,900. There's a lot of these guards that just stand out. Sato, he does, but just not as much as Conley, Rozier. But the Bulls, again, they're shorthanded today. Chandler Hutchinson's going to be out. Doesn't have a timetable to return. And Sato is probably going to have to play 30 plus minutes again. And we know the upside in minutes and also just his play. He's a guy that can do it all for a point guard. He's a pretty big point guard that just contributes in all type of ways. 4,900, you can argue that this is actually a better matchup compared to the Hornets because of the pace. And his price is down $100. It just doesn't really make sense. He should probably be like close to 6K, and he's just too cheap. Next, Shaq Harrison, he did not start last time, so I'm not going to play him if that's the case, but if he's starting now for this game over Ryan Arcidiacono, 3,500, he's only point guard eligible, so that sucks. Took away the small forward, but still, 3,500, if he's able to start, that makes him intriguing as a very cheap 3K play. Or actually, and then the last guy I want to talk about at point guard is George Hill. He's a veteran for the Bucks. He's a very solid bench player, but kind of similar with Giannis and the starters. He doesn't get blowout run. When like the Bucks, they blow out every team. But in games that are close, George Hill definitely is able to play more minutes, like 20s, and he's a guy that has shown a lot of upside. Like he's gotten like a few games where he's gotten 30 plus DraftKings points, and that's like without injuries or like any foul trouble or anything crazy. Like sometimes he closes over Wesley Matthews. His minutes, they hover around 20, but there's potential, a lot of potential. Like you can just see in all these games, his price is the minimum now, 3K. This is a tough matchup against the Sixers, but the Bucks are just such a great team, and we know the Sixers are struggling right now. They did pick up a win, but if you watch that game, they look really bad. But again, that was also without Ben Simmons. So George Hill, he's only a minimum, so that makes him very intriguing. Definitely would rather play him over Shaq Harrison if he does not start. Now on to shooting guard James Harden. We're talking about him, but just the price. If you look at the position, he kind of stands out. But I rather just play other guys or guys like Rozier that have that kind of eligibility. Really, the only other guy that I haven't mentioned is Josh Richardson, who's 4,400 against the Bucks. He's not small forward eligible, so that sucks because there's a lot of guards on that slate that just stand out. But it looks like he's going to play his usual big minutes still. And he shot really poorly last time, but he was able to save it with the other stats. So it's not like it's an outlier game or anything because he made up for it. So there's definitely a big time ceiling with him. Like he can hit 40 just because he's such a good defender, and he's definitely a guy that can shoot. He also handles sometimes with Ben Simmons out, or off the court rather. Simmons returning. I still really like Josh Richardson. He should be able to get a lot of attempts because of just how the Bucks' defensive scheme is. They allow a lot of three-point attempts, so that helps Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris, and he's just too cheap here, 4,400 in a game that I think can be close. Yes, the Sixers have struggled, especially on the road, but they fought back really hard, and now they're gonna get Ben Simmons. I just feel like they're gonna be able to fix their problems. It's not gonna just happen overnight, but it's the struggle has been happening for quite some time now, especially on the road. But in the big time match against the Bucks with Ben Simmons returning, and just how well that the Sixers were able to come back and win that game, I think that they can make this game close, or keep it close rather, have a chance to win it. So I really like Josh Richardson. He's still way too cheap at 4,400. He's a guy that should be like close to 6K as well. Small forward now. Guys that I have not talked about, Karis LeVert, he's 7K. He's intriguing. I prefer him over Spencer Dinwiddie. If you look at his game log, he's not going to take 29 shots again, but he shot really poorly. So he's definitely benefiting a whole lot with Kyrie Irving being out now for the rest of the season. He's a guy that also does a little bit of everything, so he's very intriguing as well. 7K. It's going to be tough to get to him just because of it looking more like a stars and scrubs slate, though. And then someone else that deserves a mention is Joe Harris, 4,500. He's a guy that he plays heavy minutes, and he's a starter. He definitely has the upside. He rebounds pretty well. And just shooting. Hornets, they're not a great defensive team. Joe Harris can definitely get those looks, and if he gets double-digit shot attempts, gets his threes to fall, definitely is going to be able to hit 5x for sure and have pretty good upside. Now on to power forward, Giannis, 11.2K against the Sixers. It is a tough matchup, but Giannis's minutes are always a concern on every slate because of how well the Bucks play, and they're always winning, blowing teams out. But when they play a better opponent, especially like the Sixers, where they have definitely a pretty good shot of keeping this game close, it just makes Giannis playing time so much safer, more secure. And when he's 11.2K, very affordable, price pretty much just where he usually is. You're getting him with the possibility of playing mid-high 30s in minutes, and if that is the case, this guy is one of the best fantasy players out there, and even in this tough matchup, he's going to definitely be able to play more minutes, and he's just way too cheap for this matchup. Definitely it's going to be a choice of if you want Luka or Giannis, but there's a way to make both of these guys fit into your lineup. As of now, I probably prefer Luka over Giannis. Not sure if I can fit both in, but definitely something I can do, especially if Porzingis is out. But Giannis definitely a top option on this slate. Probably number 2 behind Luka only, and it's a pretty big gap after that, like compared to Harden, Trey, Westbrook, all those guys. Next, Tobias Harris, 6,800 against the Bucks. As I mentioned before, just 3-point looks. It definitely seems like the Bucks do a pretty good job protecting the paint. They're a good defense, so that's gonna limit Ben Simmons a little bit, and also Joel Embiid. But Embiid has had some good games, but just not really someone that I want to go to just because of how he had a silly game last time, and Ben Simmons is returning, so usage is definitely gonna go down. But Tobias, 6,800 still remains affordable. I think he's actually still a little bit too cheap here. It is a tough matchup, but again, just the looks, the shots should be there for Tobias. He's one of the stars along with Ben Simmons that just plays really heavy minutes, like close to 40. Like not even in OT games, rather. Like last time, that was an OT game. He played 41 minutes. If you don't count OT, so he's got a whole lot of upside. Probably doesn't see those kind of minutes though, because Simmons is I think he's probable. So Tobias though still pace up. Gonna get the looks. I like him. PJ Washington next, 4,700 against the Nets. I'll talk about him with Cody Zeller though, even though he's a center. They're the same price point. I think PJ Washington is the guy that I would prefer because of the minutes. He's a guy that is, or rather actually both of them start, but it's just because they have Hernan Gomez, Biyombo, they can also sometimes go small. So it limits Zeller's minutes, and depending on the matchup, it definitely is a problem. But I guess the Nets, that shouldn't be. DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen, they usually split the center minutes pretty much directly all 48. So Zeller, it's a good matchup for him though. The Nets, they struggle against opposing centers, and Zeller, he is pretty solid when he gets some pretty solid, or when he gets good matchups. Like the Bulls, he got 35. We know we like to target them against big men. The Spurs, I don't know how, but he had a great game against them. Wizards, like when you see these games where it seems like, oh, it's a good matchup, Cody Zeller is definitely taking advantage of it, so I like him. But I just prefer PJ Washington just because he's one of their younger guys. Definitely want to get him more minutes, and he's a guy that can definitely shoot the three ball. So I think PJ Washington has a little bit more of an upside, and then same price. Next is Dorian Finney-Smith. If Porzingis is out, just a guy that is going to play more minutes, going to have a bigger role with Luka. Terrific match against the Hawks. But he did have a terrific game last time, 44.8. That was when I think both Luka and Porzingis were out. But man, like DFS, he's not that great of a fantasy player, but he doesn't mention just because he usually does play some pretty heavy minutes when Porzingis is out. Next is Taurean Prince, 4,200. He had his playing time cut with Wilson Chandler playing a bigger role last time, but also it was because the Nets, they played really well with their bench unit. They started off pretty poorly, like I think it was like 15-4 or something, and then the bench came in. They just made like an enormous run. It was like 50-32, and they started winning the game against the Sixers. So it's definitely a bench game, more of like just on the fly thing. Wilson Chandler was able to play a lot more minutes than usual, so I like Taurean Prince here. Bounce back spot against the Hornets. Poor defense, so if he's able to knock down his shots, get some threes, which definitely is a possibility with Kyrie out for the season. His playing time is inconsistent, but he usually has a shot at playing up to 32, which at 4,200 he's a good value play. And next, Maxi Kleber, 3,900 against the Hawks. Definitely going to be the preferred value play from these Mavericks as Porzingis is out. Because he usually does start for him at center. Willie Cauley-Stein, I believe, started once actually when they went big. But Kleber, he's a guy that just is a solid defender. He blocks shots. If he starts at center, rebounds are going to be there. Hawks, amazing matchup. So I like Kleber here. It is just a very good matchup for him. Price is way too cheap. Top value play on the slate if Porzingis is out. And then Derrick Jones Jr., 3,500. Not really someone I'm going to want, but just as I mentioned, because he did head to the locker room, I think, twice last game against the Hawks. It was a good matchup here. It's a slower pace, but also the Cavs are on a back-to-back, and it's just they're not a good defensive team. So Derrick Jones Jr., if he's healthy, there's definitely a lot of an upside here because his minutes usually are going to be double that of what he played last time due to injury, and just a good play because of him being cheap. But again, Kleber definitely, if Porzingis is out, just don't go to Derrick Jones. Just play the obvious one in Kleber, who has a way more bigger upside, more minutes. On to center, Rudy Gobert is 7,800. Very cheap here, back to back, but that hasn't really affected him in like this season. The Rockets, they do go small, but last time when they did this, they already played against the Jazz. The Jazz are not afraid to just keep Gobert out there. And Gobert, he's just such a defensive anchor for this team that they don't care that, oh, he has to guard PJ Tucker. He's going to be stretched out to defend that line in the corner. But Gobert, he's a guy that just is pretty much a double-double lock. He definitely is going to be able to get a lot of offensive rebounding opportunities and also just easy like alley-oop, layup, dunks. So Gobert, he's been a pretty solid guy all season long, really safe. I think an excellent cash play because of just the price being way too cheap. Next is going to be Dwayne Dedmon, 4,700. He's been in foul trouble the last two times he started, so that's why his minutes are only at 18 and 20. But he should be able to play a lot more minutes if he can just, keep his hands to himself. He is a guy that the Hawks do want to play him because Clint Capella is still out, and they want Dedmon out there just because he's so versatile. He's a big body, he's a good rebounder, and he's able to shoot the three. So it helps like pick and pops, John Collins with Trae Young, just having two big men that can shoot, that are good screen centers like that. Dwayne Dedmon definitely has probably 30 plus minute upside, and at that point he's going to be an excellent play at 4,700 if he's able to just stay on the court. Next is going to be Jared Allen. He's 4,300. He was really bad last time against Joel Embiid, and that's why he got benched. He only played 13 minutes. He was just awful. This is a good bounce back spot. Both of these teams do not defend big men well, so I can definitely see Jared Allen having a good start, and he's gonna be able to play like close to 30 minutes. In particular matchups, he's actually been able to play over that. But if he plays well, he usually does get rewarded. So at 4,300, similar to other guys that just like Taurean Prince, they had bad games last time, so the price tags are really down. But if they return back to their normal role, definitely they're just underpriced then in that case. And then Willie Cauley-Stein, if he picks up the start, he's gonna be in play. If he doesn't, don't want any part of him just because his minutes are so all over the place. If he starts, definitely in play because of the matchup. He's a guy that can definitely get you a double double. He did last time, or he didn't last time, but against the Hornets he did. That game was also when Porzingis was out for rest. So when he does start, definitely he's intriguing because he's a good rebounder. I think, or he's a pretty athletic big man, can finish around the rim, everything. So WCS makes sense. 3,600 against the Hawks, terrific matchup. Last guy I'm going to talk about is Daniel Gafford, 3K. He's the better option over Cristiano Felicio because he's the younger guy. There's more upside. We've seen Felicio he's not a good fantasy player. He's not a good real life player either. But Gafford, he's a young player who has upside. And when it's a center who's at 3K, they usually are safer just because of being able to rebound, block shots, easy putbacks. But Luke Cornett is doubtful, so they're not without him yet. But it's going to leave him down to only Gafford and Felicio as the centers. That young, they've pretty much only wanted him to play the 4. So it could be a split of 48 minutes between Felicio and Gafford. And Gafford's definitely the guy that should be able to get more looks, but we never know. Jim Boylan, he's just not a good coach. But again, Gafford's only 3K against the Suns. DeAndre Ayton's not a good defender. Aaron Baines is he just returned back from injury and it's a back-to-back, so maybe he's not even going to be in. So if Gafford's able to start 3K, gonna be an excellent value play. So overall, for the slate, it's just a lot of guards that I like. Luka, and then Terry Rozier is looking amazing. Mike Conley as well. Could be like a pivot, but I think you can definitely play them both just because the prices are similar, so people could probably only want one. And then Josh Richardson, gonna have to put him at utility because he's no longer forward eligible. And then last guy, you can definitely fit Giannis, I think. Yeah, you can make it work. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and put in Maxi Kleber at power forward. You can put in Deadman as well, but I definitely do prefer Kleber. These are my favorite plays, but if you want to play Giannis, definitely you can make that work. You can play Kleber at center, try to like build it out, find some other value plays like Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris. But for the first look, I'm going to go with these guys. So Luka, Rozier, Kleber, Conley, Josh Richardson as my favorite 5 plays of the slate. As usual, thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like if you guys enjoyed the video, if it helps you. Also subscribe to the channel. I'm continuing to try to make more of these videos, be more consistent. And if you have any questions, as always, you can leave a comment down below, or you can find me on Twitter at Boffles. Link will be in the description. So good luck on the slate, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.